Well, for more on the role of the US in this war on drugs, I'm joined now by Maria Lucia Caram in Rio de Janeiro. She's a retired Brazilian judge and also a member of Law Enforcement Against Prohibition, or LEAP. Now, that's a group of former and current law enforcers who support drug regulation rather than prohibition. Thanks so much for joining us on the programme. I want to ask you, how would legalising some drugs actually help control the violence in Mexico?
Not only in Mexico, but everywhere, legalizing the production, the supply, and the consumption of all drugs is the only way to stop violence, because violence is created by prohibition. It's this insane war on drugs that produce violence in Mexico, in Brazil, and in many other parts of the world.
Would you legalise all drugs, though? Because some are clearly highly dangerous. Crystal meth, for example, and people taking those drugs, if you say they have the freedom to be able to take them, could actually constitute a danger to other people, couldn't they?
No, people already take drugs, and people take drugs now with no control, with no regulation, and with no control of the substance. People consume drugs and they don't know what they are really consuming, because when you have an illegal market, you cannot control anything. You don't regulate anything.
So you're saying have no boundaries whatsoever, that drugs, anybody who wants to take drugs, presumably as an adult, can take them and should be allowed to, and there should be absolutely no boundaries, no laws whatsoever?
No, you have boundaries. You must treat all drugs as you treat the drugs that are already legalized, like alcohol, like tobacco. There are research in the United States that show that young people have more difficulty to buy legal drugs as alcohol, as tobacco, then they have to buy illegal drugs.
Because I guess one of the problems is, for example, you're saying that maybe in the US they should legalize drugs, because that would then take away the need for illegal trafficking from Latin America to the US. You'd actually need it to be worldwide, wouldn't you, the legalization of drugs? Because that would simply move the market, say, to Southeast Asia or over to Europe, and the drugs will be trafficked from Latin America into Europe, for example.
No, of course this must be legalized all over the world. Prohibition is a global prohibition. It's the United Nations, the conventions of the United Nations that impose this prohibition. And so legalization must be also a global program. And that it's through the United Nations that we must legalize.
All right, Maria Lucia Caram, we do appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us from Rio de Janeiro.
I thank you.